Hello everybody. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is the taxonomic aid. What is this taxonomic aid actually? In this, these are the tools and techniques which we use to preserve the particular animal or preserve the particular plant species for our easier way to study them. Okay, like first taxonomic aid we will discuss about this herbarium, second one we will discuss about the botanical gardens, and third one is the museum, fourth one is the zoological park, or you call it as zoo, and fifth one is the key, right? So let's look one after the another. First one is the herbarium. What are these herbarium actually? These are the storehouse of plant species. So we store plant species in this particular herbarium aid. Okay, that are what we actually do actually. First, here I have taken an example. First, collect a rice plant. Okay, here I am drawing a rough diagram of this particular rice plant. Okay, this please consider this as a rice plant. You plucked one rice plant from the paddy field. After that, what we have to do, you have to dry this particular plant. Okay, you have to evaporate all the moisture contained from it. Otherwise, what happens that this moisture will evolve this fungus and yeast to grow on it, and this can decay this particular plant. So we remove all the moisture first. You can dry it under sun, or you can press it under your books or whatever. After that, what you do, you first dry it and then place it in a herbarium sheet. What is a herbarium sheet actually? This is available in bookstores for this purpose, for preservation of this plant species only. So after that, what happens, you paste it, then you paste it, and then in the right hand side corner you write it down what have you this rice plant and its scientific name when you collect it, like the date, and then its family's name, and then place of this collection, all of that. Okay, this is the herbarium. How this is used actually, you have collected all this. There are many herbarium libraries, like you must have heard about this book libraries, right? Like that, there are many herbarium libraries where we preserve this particular herbarium sheet, and then whenever it is necessary, you can take one herbarium sheet and you can study about this. Okay, second one is the botanical garden, and this botanical garden have the collection of living plants which are for references. Botanical garden can have many medicinal plants also. They can have the medicinal plant, they can have the succulents, they can have the flower bearing plants, like you call it as angiosperms, and all of that. Many plant you can find, and there in every plant there is they are labeled with their scientific names and their particular family, and maybe there can be leveling of certain their purpose or whatever, many fundamental characteristics. Okay, here I have taken one example, that Indian Botanical Garden is present in Howrah, Kolkata. Okay, next one is the museum. Museum are kept in schools and colleges, and they have the collection of preserved plant and animals. Okay, you must have visited your biology laboratory, where there can be many fishes, many crabs. They are stored in a jar. Okay, these like containers where you store them in a particular solution, and this solution is known as the formalin. Okay, this formalin, we can store animals for longer time, and in museums you can also find this skeletons of dinosaurs, of many other organisms like humans also you can find. And in museum, what else you can find actually, you can find some insects also. Insect are actually kept under this insect box. First you collect the particular insect, and then you kill it, and then you pin it. Okay, catching, killing, and pinning that particular insect in the insect box. These are the methods we use to keep the animals in a particular museum. Museum can be small, can big. You can also make your museum also. Okay, then the third one is the zoological park or the zoo. Zoo, you must be knowing what is a zoo. There we kept living animals, right? We kept living animals under a protected environment, and we to study their food habits and their particular behavior. In a particular zoo, you can keep the animals that are already endangered species, like they are in a verge of extinction. You can keep them, like in Nandankanan Zoo we have white tiger, right? This is already an endangered species, and we are giving him human care, and in a protected environment we want their species to flourish again, so we are keeping them in zoo. Next is the key. This must be a new term for you. So what are these key? Actually, key are used for plant and animals both. What are key? They are certain this kind of sheets. Okay, in these sheets there will be two characteristics, like for example, if you find a new organism, right? Let's assume you found a new organism and you want to classify it. You want to classify it under a particular kingdom. You want to know whether it is an animal, it is a plant, or you want to classify it under a particular species. You want to name them or something like that. So let's assume you found this particular organism. Okay, so you want to understand about this one. So first you will take an key, whether this key will contain two sentences. One sentence will ask you that whether it is unicellular or it is multicellular. Okay, so unicellular means it will be having only one cell, and multicellular means it is having more than one cell, right? So you have to first identify it under a microscope, that whether it is a unicellular organism or it is a multicellular organism. Suppose you found it as a unicellular organism. So now you know about one characteristics, that this one is unicellular. Again, so what you will do, you will go to the next key that contain if it is unicellular. If it is unicellular, then check that whether it contains chlorophyll or it does not contain chlorophyll. Okay, so either it will contain chlorophyll or it won't contain chlorophyll. Suppose it contains the chlorophyll. If it contains the chlorophyll, then it can be either a bacteria or it can be a plant. It can never be an animal. So like this, you will have a list of a bunch of characteristics. After that, you can classify this in a particular group. Okay, so these are the taxonomic aids that we use to classify, to identify the particular animal or plant.